Hey everyone! I'm Anoushka, a senior studying the IB in Hong Kong.
Hi, I'm Benji, a senior studying in Azerbaijan.
And welcome to a new episode in our series, IB Around the World.
We've asked grads and seniors all around the world for their perspective on the IB.
Considering we are all over the world, we filmed this all at home. You can probably tell by the quality, but we've tried our best and we're excited for you to see.
Was IB your only choice for your final 2 years? What is the outlook of IB?
In Azerbaijan, you're able to take AP classes, A-levels, IB, or even the Azeri national curriculum.
IB was not my only choice. I could have taken either just the Spanish system, which is called LOMCE, or do the IB plus LOMCE.
At my school, IB was the only qualification offered, but it was an international school in the UK. So for most other schools around the UK, they only did A-level.
Generally, I say the outlook on IB is positive, as teachers recognize the rigor and the value of an IB diploma.
Because it was kind of the minority qualification in the UK, it's seen as something a bit different and usually a bit more challenging.
And in fact, quite a few international schools here are now offering the IB program.
Did the culture or environment influence your IB experience?
I really think that the culture of the country that you're in and the environment of the actual school definitely affects your IB experience.
I think in the UK, because the IB isn't done by that many people, that makes the culture of schools that do the IB feel like they're under an inordinate amount of pressure.
Living in Azerbaijan, there's not a lot of other international schools. On top of that, my own international school was really small. That environment does affect students in that it's kind of hard to seek IB help. Like that's directly.
Being in Spain, it did influence my specific IB cohort. As I mentioned, I was doing the LOMCE and the IB. And the thing is, the LOMCE is very narrow-minded. So you will take either a scientific track or an artistic track, a humanities track, or an engineering track. And you don't deviate from them.
A lot of the default conversations are just kind of complaining about how much you've got to do, how many deadlines are coming up, just how your life is very, very hard at the moment.
However, I think it also allowed many opportunities.
I've learned a lot about my own host country, including the culture, environmental issues, and exploring these through different subject lenses.
They offered Russian as a language that you could take.
The CAS opportunities are also quite specific to the country as we aim to solve pressing local issues.
How are your DP1 and DP2 years structured?
We went through most of the content of our subjects and kind of probably finished it around like a few months before the exams.
We were taking the classes plus TOK throughout the whole 2 years.
They had a very strict timetables for IAs to try and make it so that students had the fewest to do at the same time. So we started doing some in the summer term of DP1 and then finished them off in the first term of DP2.
And we also started planning our extended essay in the second semester of the first year, and it was due in the first semester of the second year. For the TOK essay and the TOK presentation, they focused on completing the presentation in the first semester of the second year.
Also overlap with university admissions.
And the essay in the last semester, right before exams.
So the way my school structured the IBDP was that year one, we focused mainly on IBDP content for all of our subjects. And then year two was much more LOMCE based. And then at the end, right before exams, we were just revising the IBDP content.
So it was very structured. You always knew what was coming next. And it was also very timetabled to try and spread out the demands of the IB over the 2 years.
How many subjects did your school provide? Were you able to choose all of them?
Most subjects that people wanted to study were available.
In the end, we had the equivalent of about 13 subjects over 2 years, mainly because it was the 6 IB subjects. The LOMCE content was different from the IB content. So when we merged the 2 subjects, we had the IB version and then we had the LOMCE version next to each other. So that's why I count 13 subjects instead of the 6 plus TOK. And I did not get to choose all of them. I only got to choose the track, either scientific or social.
Now, considering many international schools here are very small, we have an excellent number of subject selections. Our school offered a total of 22 subjects, and while we did get to choose all our subjects, our group 6 pairings were a little different from the norm. Besides art, theater, and music, our Group 6 also included economics and chemistry.
In what languages was the IB offered in your school? Could you do the bilingual diploma?
In Spain, the IB schools usually offer the IB either in English if it's an international school, or in Spanish if it's any other IB Spanish school. However, if you wanted, you could do the bilingual diploma.
Alongside English, you'll most likely take Russian A, Azerbaijani A, or even Turkish A. In our school, students were also able to take a self-taught course language A, so that significantly broadens your choices.
What was your experience with the IB language A and B subjects?
My experience with the IB language A and B subject was a positive one because in my school, everyone is bilingual, most people are trilingual.
So at our school, everyone did English A, literature, HL or SL, or English SL, literature and performance. No one did language and literature.
My school offered both language A and B in HL only. Language A's, we had Catalan literature A, HL, Spanish literature A, HL, and English language and literature AHL. And then the language B that you chose would depend on what language A you chose.
I know quite a few people who already had quite a good capability in a foreign language would do language B and not language A, and I feel like that is also possibly a problem across IB schools.
We were only allowed to do language B if we were not fluent in the language, so I think you had to take like a test or something to prove that you didn't know it. The languages that were offered for language B were French, Russian, and Spanish. The teachers really pushed us to become fluent, especially when you were HL. However, it was a little bit difficult, especially for French and Spanish, because there aren't really a lot of places in Azerbaijan to practice those.
What did CAS look like in your country?
CAS is one of my favorite parts of IB, and there are immense opportunities in Azerbaijan.
CAS was kind of integrated into the timetable of my school. One weekday afternoon and then Saturday afternoon there were no lessons, so people would do sport. And then Thursday afternoon there were no lessons, and it was meant to be a service afternoon. And so then you could do Model UN, or there were also a lot of activities with outreach into the local town and community.
So for the creativity, it was relatively easy to find creative things to do, mostly because my school offered some trips.
In fact, in our school, it is encouraged to start new clubs and new initiatives that gauge to your own interest.
For the activity, it was a bit more tricky because you would either have to go to the gym or enroll yourself in a sort of sports team or sports league.
Numerous tournaments are present, like the SRAA, and we can also compete against other international schools in Europe, and you may participate in CISA tournaments.
I think there were definitely some unique challenges and perks of doing CAS in Azerbaijan. I think the perks were that there were a lot of different communities to help.
It was definitely more difficult to find service opportunities here in Barcelona because Spain in general is not very service-oriented. Occasionally they would be serving in the fundraisers.
However, one challenge lies in communication, as there are language barriers. A lot of international students do not speak Azeri, Russian, or Turkish, and so it becomes difficult to talk to locals and people who are running these organizations.
Especially for service, there's not a lot of structure to these organizations, so you generally have to do a lot of digging, a lot of talking to people to actually find organizations to help.
Now, if you are in this situation, there are teachers, friends, and staff that will help you get through it.
CAS was an easy experience here. It was much more person-to-person contact than it was enrolling in any big organizations or activism in any way.
CAS was really good in trying to make the quite privileged school have outreach into the local towns so that it felt like you weren't just going to like a bubble.
Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure you give this video a like and comment down below which country you study in.
If you want more content, be sure to follow our Instagram at IBlieve. Check out IBlieve.org for daily blog posts, and don't forget to subscribe to our weekly newsletter for updates on everything IBlieve.
Stay tuned for our next episode.
Bye!